Hi everybody, Matt Lawton here. This is the Astrological Winds channel, and I'm going to take a look at the astrological weather forecast for the week of May 15th through the 21st. And we get a little bit of a break this week. It's been really, a lot of very challenging aspects this year, a lot of very challenging aspects last year, and the world has gone through a lot of changes and continues to do so. So I definitely feel like I've been the bearer of a lot of very intense news, so to speak, in the weather forecasts in the past year and a half. And this week is a week where I really feel like it's a real positive week. In fact, we've seen that a few times, a couple more times in the past month or two, where we've had a week or so here and there where we had some real positive type of aspects that we could work with and, maybe take on some of the challenges of the more troubling aspects, like the Saturn-Uranus square, which is running behind everything this year. So we will continue to see structures all this year falling apart, having to change, having to be replaced. But let's talk about this week. So it starts off with a bang, and that's this Monday right now. We have a very strong Sun trine Pluto. And when Sun is trine Pluto, somehow we find ourselves kind of in a position of power wherever we may have power. And for some people that can be a very wide, large net. For other people it's just a very small influence in the sphere of their world. But we all find ourselves at times in a position of power where we can make decisions that are long-lasting and effective. And so when the Sun is trine Pluto, there's a real great flow of the ability of the individual to make transformation in their life and in their environment and influencing those around you. So really what we're seeing is the opportunity now to make change easily, where we've seen some very deep things inside ourselves about the world, about our relationships, about things like that. And we've kind of gotten a grip of what they actually mean, how that affects us, how the subconscious and the psyche within us and within others and in the world's collective energy too is driving a lot of the energy, and a lot of it's coming up to the surface so that we can see it and work with it and get ourselves back into a position of power with it, where we can use it to advance what we wish to advance. And with Pluto, it has so much to do with transforming. It sees some really heavy things. It may go through some very heavy emotional input, and it has then the desire, ambition to transform things around it. Now, remember, when Pluto is involved, you don't want to get on just a completely subjective or selfish line, because ultimately any success you get will end up being taken from you. But when you're considering how your actions affect those around you, the environment around you, and the whole greater good, your society, the human race itself, if your intention in the transformations that you're making and the changes that you're making, have everyone else along for the ride, then Pluto is going to be very, very helpful in making a nice flow for you. So this is a time where we can really step it up, expand our world, expand our self-empowerment, expand our consciousness, our perceptions, our insights, and use that to transform things around us. And if we're doing that for the benefit of ourselves and others too, then success that will last a long time and become a permanent change is available for us now. Now also, interesting enough, Venus is conjunct the North Node on Monday also, and that is finding connections with people that you are meant to connect with on a karmic soul energy level. Like literally what some people would call soulmates or soul unions. And that doesn't necessarily have to mean that it's a romantic union either. These are soulmates, people that are being drawn into your life that have a significant message or place in your life and vice versa. And it's really pregnant right now, the energy for that to happen, for people to be drawn together with common interests and goals and create very deep connections. The Venus North Node, Sun, Pluto will work very well, and it will continue right on into tomorrow, Tuesday, when Venus sextiles Chiron. What it's showing is that these transformations, these changes, these connections that we make with others are going to create opportunities of healing and learning and teaching, exchanges of energy where people are getting benefit from their connections with one another. That's like a healing balm or salve to a lot of the issues that are going on within them. And that not only that you'll have an opportunity to share the information, the knowledge, the wisdom that you have gained from your experience and learning with others who will be very interested in that, and then they will also have pieces for you to learn from. To top it off, Venus is also sesquiquadrate Pluto on Tuesday, so that's bringing that Pluto energy, the Sun trine Pluto, right into the relationship stuff too. So what's that showing with Venus sesquiquadrate Pluto? That there may be certain people who are still holding you back or frustrating the level you want to get at with them. And maybe this is one of these times where there's certain people you may have to say, I need to just, cut that loose, that I no longer have the time nor energy to spend on that relationship or the depth of that, because it's not heading in the direction that is feeling beneficial or transformative or growth oriented to you. So you may find yourself having to look at a lot of these relationships you're in and evaluating them and deciding whether what you're putting in is worth what you're getting out of, and pretty much cutting the fat so that you can focus in on the ones that are on like that conjunction of the Venus North Node or the trine with the Sun and Pluto, where the change in the connection is much easier and therefore the one that's supposed to be happening right now. Now also on Tuesday there is a Mars sesquiquadrate Jupiter, which is really interesting in the sense that it's a very optimistic, exuberant, zealous, energetic transit. There's a lot of energy available. a lot of getting like fired up about maybe some of these things that you're connecting with other people. So the tendency is to kind of run off with some like wild idea about how you're gonna, get taken more. Mars and Jupiter, they want to take in more. They want to get it quickly. They want it to be big. They want it to be grandiose. But the problem is, it's very impulsive a lot of times. It's very self-righteous and subjective and just bashing off on your own path and energy, and many times not really well thought out about the plan of attack. So we can end up tripping ourselves, basically, tripping ourselves up from not thinking things throughly or just overreacting in a positive or negative way to a situation and kind of not bringing in enough balance and logic and thought as to how to work through the details and get from point A to point B. Because Mars and Jupiter want to do it as quickly as possible. And sometimes when we try to do things as quickly as possible, we end up making a lot of mistakes. And it ends up actually taking us longer than if we had just taken our time. So an interesting lesson there. By Wednesday, continuation of this positive energy, Venus is going to trine Saturn. So it's going to take a lot of these connections that we're making right now and start to work on stabilizing them, start to work on the plan, start to work on the details. So Venus trine Saturn is very interested in sober, realistic, grounded, practical relationships and making really harmonious or smooth connections with people who we are perceiving to be reliable and important, have some authority maybe, and can help us along, and we can help them along, and we can build a really solid foundation of reliability, a solid foundation of friendship or connection or relationship that is grounded in the real world. And also like maybe getting a lot of information from more experienced or older people that have some wisdom that they can share with you. By Thursday, the sun goes into Gemini and joining Mercury and Venus there. So really out of the Taurus part of the year, we're into the last third of spring in the northern hemisphere and fall in the southern hemisphere. And so just that Gemini time. And now remember, the sun now in Gemini, the North Node is also there too. So that means we're going to get our eclipse seasons coming up in Gemini where like sudden changes can occur. But like remember, the North Node is there. It's been there for about a year or so now. I've been talking about it, how that is where we're supposed to be collectively going. This is our collective dharma together. The North Node in Gemini. Now we have all this Gemini energy building up. The sun going there, Mercury there, Venus there, and Mercury's going to go retrograde in Gemini and therefore stay in Gemini for almost 3 months. And so here we are once again. What's the mission for that North Node in Gemini that all these other inner planets and now the sun going into Gemini can help with? And that is the collection of information and knowledge on a local level with the people who you are interacting with every day and trying to build up a support system, a connection, an association with them. So the sun in Gemini is going to like push that desire to go out and make connections with others, share information with others, process information with others, and so we continue that energy. And then by Friday, we have the sun just freshly in Gemini, squaring Jupiter in Pisces, which, if you remember, Jupiter went into Pisces last week. So, once again, very positive energy, very exuberant energy, very like that Mars Jupiter, kind of very excited about life, wants to take more in, broader horizons, learning more, all that stuff just coming in from that Sun square Jupiter. Now, the danger of the Sun square Jupiter is that we can get kind of arrogant or self-righteous about what we believe in and what our value system is, and kind of like maybe just like talk right over someone else who may be behind us the way we perceive them or have some kind of different opinion. But this is very positive, optimistic energy. So we have all this going on Monday through Friday this week, of these ability to make connections with people who you are karmically, dharmically connected with. You're supposed to make these connections, and then that bringing in the next step up of transformation, and a lot of like nice flow to it this week with the trines going on. It makes it easier for this stuff to happen. And like I said, the biggest danger is to just kind of take off, to get so excited on the path of growth or expansion, to just take off without taking care of the details involved. Now, the energy is going to switch a little bit on the weekend. First, on Saturday, there's a Mercury square Neptune, and that can definitely create a lot of misunderstandings in our thought processes, in our communications with others. We have a tendency to over-idolize certain situations, certain people, certain experiences, certain things, but also can easily be misled by Mercury Neptune. Neptune really diffuses the sharpness of the discerning mind and kind of makes it diffuse and soft and squishy. So we can easily fall under being a follower and not really question what's going on around us, kind of get lost in an imaginary or kind of world. So yeah, definitely an interest too in like the study of spiritual and mystical type things, but also once again can easily, get misled or go too far with that stuff out of reality. So yeah, just a real diffusing kind of energy coming on, especially to our intellect on Saturday. And then comes the one thing this week that is really going to be, a big shift, and a big shift that is going to head us in a direction that is going to be some tough things more likely than not to deal with. And that is on Sunday, Saturn is going to go retrograde. And it's going to go retrograde at 14 degrees Aquarius, and it will go retrograde until October 10th, where it will go direct at 7 degrees of Aquarius. So, we talked about, the Saturn-Uranus square is the biggest aspect of this year. The instability of structure, the instability of the things in reality that we've relied on, and what seemingly is a lot of change, rapid change going on, where things collapse and other things come in to fill in the vacuum that's left behind. And some of those things, many of those things don't stick either. They just kind of come and go. So we had the first exact hit of Saturn-Uranus a couple months back, and now Saturn's going to go retrograde. So we're heading for the second exact hit of the three hits of this aspect that are occurring this year. And the middle hit, or the retrograde hit, of any long-term transit, including this one, is always the one where the issues will get most extreme. So we're going to have Saturn go retrograde on Sunday. Mercury's going to go retrograde on the 29th. Two eclipses coming in Gemini. And then we have the second exact Saturn-Uranus square on June 10th. June is lining up to be a month where there will be some very intense and quick changes. So we kind of got a little bit of the calm before the storm here, and making these connections and finding the right groups and that kind of thing, doing the changes you need to do now can be important to clear the deck for this next month when retrograde Saturn will get the second hit, the middle of the Saturn-Uranus square, where we will most likely see some very, very strong, acute happenings or events in the world. And we're seeing it every day. I mean, we talk about the Saturn-Uranus square. We've talked about the Pluto-Ceres square, too, about the threat to resources this year. We've been getting broadside after broadside the last month or two warning us that, many of these structures that we have our society and built upon are not as stable as we would like them to be perceived as. We've had the grid go down in Texas. We've had the Suez Canal get blocked. We have a strike on the West Coast not allowing ships in with cargo. We had a gas line shut down because of a hack and a ransom needing to be paid. So all these events, they're telling us the same thing, like they're showing us these structures that are around us and that we rely upon so much, especially in the last 70 years, the post-World War II years, are not nearly as stable as we would like to perceive them to be. And maybe we need to go back to that time prior to this, when people realized the world wasn't that stable of a thing, that, and that's what that Saturn-Uranus is showing us, that, we've really backed our structures into a corner where they're no longer able to support us. They've run the length of their linear time life and their ability to operate efficiently. And so now all of it is coming up and being shown to us, all these weak points. And now those connections we make with others, the transformation we're making within ourselves and with others, will hopefully help us to deal with a world that is watching its structures fall apart rapidly and needs to find a new balance, needs to find a new way of relating to one another and to nature and to the earth, new ways of doing business, new ways of doing everything we do. Because this Saturn-Uranus square is going to show us all the weaknesses in our society, all the weaknesses in our structures, all the weaknesses in our life. And it's like walking a razor's edge. And we kind of try to pretend or deny that that's how close we all are to losing a lot of that stability and structure. And when we're not willing to make the changes that are necessary, the upgrades to the program, so that they are still operating efficiently in the future of now, today, rather than something that we're still trying to hold on to that's no longer working. So, an interesting week this week to make those connections and to bring in that transformation so that we can get ourselves in the best position to deal with the changes that are going to come and be able to surf them together. Together, people have much power to move a lot of things, and this North Node in Gemini is telling you that's the people right around you, that you can make those changes with those people. All right, this is Matt Lawton. This is the Astrological Winds channel. I am available for all kinds of professional astrology readings, natal charts, predictive reading, look at your next year to see what kind of energy is coming in, relationship readings, child's readings, fixed star readings if you're interested in your deeper soul purpose, elections for when you can time the best time to do an event, horary questions if you have something that you're emotionally distraught about and indecisive about. You can take a look at that. Change of locality, like astrocartography, astrolocality, if you're looking to move somewhere else, you can look on how that changes. And then, so for any of that, email me at matthue823 @gmail.com. And that is also my Zelle account. People who would like to give a donation, I know people ask about that occasionally. But the best way you can help me with this blog, which is a free service, is to pass it on today to somebody that you know would be interested in it. I'm getting more and more hits on the YouTube channel. Remember, I'm also available on all the different podcasts. Just look it up, Astrological Winds channel, Spotify has me out there on, I don't know, about 15 different podcasts. So it's available there too. And yes, there are beginner classes of astrology available. There's 5 of them right now. If you're interested, email me. I can set you up with the files on Dropbox, and they are $25 a class unless you're a student with a student ID, and they are $20 a class. All right. I think that about covers it. My Facebook page is back up, so we'll put the link on there too. Try the social media, a lot of you, to remind you about it, but please become a follower in case I don't have time to do that. And if I am social media bombing you and you're not appreciative of it, just let me know, and I will try to remember not to. All right, Matt Lawton. This is the Astrological Winds channel, and I'll be signing off until next week, and let's surf those waves of transformation together. That's what the universe wants us to do this week.